So it's again such a delight to welcome somebody that I've known for years and somebody who is in a lot of ways a compatriot who is a great promoter, a great champion of books and reading, something that is also passionate, that I'm also passionate about. So Richard, I saw on social media, I believe it was on Facebook, that you recently had a couple of weeks ago perhaps, a birthday. I don't know which number that was, but I know that it must have been remarkable. And what was significant was that the celebration of that birthday was that the theme of books and of reading was central to your celebration. So could you tell us a little bit about that celebration and how it went?
Thank you very much. I think that it's. I think someone said birthdays are not for dying. So it's important that when the birthdays roll by, we commemorate them and keep going. Some other day, somebody will commemorate the one you cannot. So we just take it in our stride. Well, this my 55th, and it coincides with my concluding work on my most recent, manuscript. In this case, so I just finished work a day before that day on the text of My Life in the World of Books, which, suggestively, since it's a memoir, it suggests that it tells the story of my experience and encounters with the book world, from as much as I can recall, which would be about 5-6 years old. So it's like a 5-decade, story, but with a primary focus. A few offside, musings here and there, but essentially a primary focus on books, reading, and my engagements, in that sphere.
Thank you.
So you said your NGO promotes books and readings, reading books in Nigeria specifically. So how and when and how did you develop your love affair with reading and books, and how do you describe that love, what it means, what you feel it should mean?
Okay, I would say that I would already be selling half of my book if I answer that question as elaborately as you are pushing me to do. Yes. But I would resist the temptation because you would not have a chance to ask any other question before we finish. So let me just get to it this way. I have always been, from as much as I can remember, fascinated, attracted to books. In that sense. And as I try to chronicle in that text, some of my earliest recollections, go way, way back to, my growing up, spaces, growing up time. And so books have seemed to be almost natural, for me and in my space. Part of it, I think, comes from the fact that I grew up in a home where books were, siblings, older siblings, who had done books and done books and done books. So by the time I came in, right, they had prepared books, for me to just simply, pick up and continue with, in that sense. And going to primary school, getting on to a good secondary school that was also very book friendly, and then staying in a community where there was, when we talk about the reading culture in Nigeria now, we talk about it as a struggle, but in the 70s, it was joy. It was a relish. People were not running away from books. People were embracing it. And that is why, between about the end of the 70s going into the 80s, we had such popular, expressions as the pacesetter, culture. Before then, you had the whole business of young people, you could not find 3 young people going about without one of them with a book in his pocket, back pocket, or in a bag or something. And it was not a recommended school text. It was either a James Hadley Chase or a Nikata, or, it was popular, reading interest. And they were competing freely for who had read the most. Those were the things, before TV came in, and then we started going to watch from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., in that sense. But books were almost natural in the space. It was entertainment, it was culture, it was environment, it was aspiration. It was fused into the national psyche. Something actually has happened for us to be struggling with the reading culture. Something has happened.
Wow. Thank you very much. We're going to come to that, what has happened to make reading a struggle. So, 3 of us have this shared passion for books. Emeka reads a lot. His particular area is history, but he does philosophy and so on and so forth. He does literature, poetry, drama, but I also dabble in philosophy and history. But it is one thing to be interested in books as a consumer of books, even as a producer of books. It's another thing to then make it your life's work, as you have, to get to incite the same passion in other people, to get other people, young and old, to embrace this vocation that you have. So, how did you decide? Can you trace the moment when you decided this is actually the work, the best place that I'm going to serve society, the best mission that I'm going to give to myself? How did that evolve, that adoption of this sense of the urgency to take on this mission of promoting reading, promoting books?
Okay, thank you. I think it's in 2 phases. In the first phase, it would be about 1983, 84, when I was trying to make up my mind what I was going to do in university. And at that point, I had options of courses, the joint admissions, matriculation board exams. So which courses, would you fill in for your JAMB schedule? And after I reviewed all my different options, and proclivities, I concluded that I should go take a program in English and Literary Studies. Now, interestingly, I also chose the University of Calabar. And that in itself was to now strengthen some of the preliminary associations I had with books from infancy, going on. Because when I got into UNICA, I got into a department that was bookish. It was books. And not just that, we were being exposed to all kinds, of literatures, and works in that wise. We also had, the privilege of participating in the International Conference on African Literature, which also brought the creme de la creme, as they say, of the book world, African, Afro-Caribbean, Nigerian, to the campus once every year. It was fun. It was studies. It was academics, but it strengthened some of the initial, stirrings, that had begun to build over a number of years. So by the time I got to my second year in the university, I was sure that this was something that I was, possibly going to build on, going forward. And
looking at today's reading culture in Nigeria, what trends would you say you notice today for today's culture?
sorry, let me get the closing part again.
Also, so looking at today's reading culture in Nigeria, specifically in Nigeria, well, in West Africa, but in Nigeria, what trends would you say you noticed within today's reading culture in Nigeria?